The Philippines is being called Asia's rising tiger. But what exactly does this mean? Posting a GDP growth of 6.7% in 2017, the country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, expanding at a rate unseen in the last 5 decades. The good news is, it's just getting started. The better news is that we have designed a brand new city to be the nucleus of this economic renaissance. Less than 1 hour from the capital, Manila, straddled by hills and blessed with tropical climate all year long, we are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans for its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district. And New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and endless investment opportunities. This is a city prepared to attract talent so that the country's best and brightest will come here to work and choose to call this place home. Because this is a city that knows how to play, where you can unwind at your own speed, where safety is paramount, and people always come first. This is a city where history and culture thrive, where modern conveniences meet timeless traditions, and progress is driven by passion. This is a city with limitless ambition that may someday find itself among the great cities of the world, built for business so that time is always well spent, and built for people so that life is always well lived. This is Clark.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to HR On The Go, where top trends and hot topics in HR and people management are coming your way. So buckle up and prepare for takeoff. HR On The Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and International HR Institute airing live on the CHRC Facebook page every month. If you are interested in becoming a CHRC member, join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org/join. All right, we are in episode 6. In today's episode, I am joined by an experienced HR consultant, and we are going to talk about total rewards and upgrade to compensation and benefits. Today, I know that, a lot of our viewers are probably fresh graduates. And you know what? Believe it or not, money isn't everything, no? Especially when it comes to choosing or staying in a job. Sure, offering, competitive salaries will help your company attract and retain top talents. And but at the end of the day, compensation is not the only main factor. No, it's just one of the many factors that contribute to your company being a great place to work. No, there's employee benefit, workplace culture, office location, and other non-monetary offerings that all play an important role in attracting new employees and fostering loyalty and dedication among current employees. And now, to help us understand what are the things that cover total rewards, may I introduce to you our speaker for today. She started her career right after graduating with a degree in mass communications for a Filipino owned global container port operator as a management trainee under the guidance of the general manager for operations. For 7 years, she was given various responsibilities from planning vessels to managing the yard and executing plans. But she, yearned for something more, which had to do with people development. Her wish was granted when she was asked by the HR department to join their team to handle the talent and career management to do just that and spearheaded the company's succession plan. Because of her operations and HR experience, she was selected by top management to be assigned to various overseas container ports and terminals to be the HR consultant for startups, change management, and organizational development. She is a certified practitioner in human resources, a certified recruitment and selection professional, and a certified compensation and benefits professional. She now works for a Dutch customized orthopedic shoe manufacturing company in Pulilan, Bulacan. Now, it is my honor to introduce to you Miss Maria Sumadchat. Hi, Miss Maria.
Hi, May.
Hi, Miss Maria. How are you
Nice to
doing?
be here. I'm
Yeah.
going good. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for
Yes,
having
I
me.
am very interested in our topic today, because I always hear compensation and benefits, but lately I think a lot of organizations and HR professionals actually are using total rewards. So, ayan, before we head into our topic, no, Miss Maria, ikaw ba, how long have you been doing total rewards?
You know what? Looking back, um,
Mhm.
Total Rewards wasn't actually called Total Rewards at all. I mean,
Really?
I don't, but with the world's getting smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember back in 2010, it wasn't really like Total Rewards per se, but it does what come together with pay benefits, learning and development, performance management. It's a hodgepodge of things really, but it's all about being able to recognize effort and rewarding them accordingly. So looking back, it would be probably during 2010.
Pag pa lang ako
Looking back,
elementary.
2010
Just
pala,
kidding.
naku, wag ka naman magbilang naman 'to, eh. So, 2010, I remember doing a reward system for the more equipment that you know to how to operate, the more opportunities you'll have to be able to come to work. Because I
Mhm,
believe in 2010 at the port where I was assigned at, um, what work wasn't daily. It would come like every other day.
mhm,
We were lucky if we had like two vessel calls a week.
mhm,
So for
mhm,
you to have more opportunities to actually work, you had to balance out
mhm.
like number of employees who know how to operate this equipment. Okay, since there are days that we need more people for forklift, that means I need more people to learn how to do it. So creating a system wherein you'd encourage people to learn more and then for them to pay more, looking
Mm-hmm.
back, it's actually part of total rewards, because the more that you're willing to learn, the more that the more equipment that you're willing to learn, the more opportunities you'll have, which would now have, pay. You'd have more learning and development. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
have more balance in terms of like,
Mm-hmm.
um, like, I don't want to work today. Can I just have it scheduled, in the next vessel call? That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. So, and since you are performing well, we'd give you a bonus because this vessel had better productivity. All those who worked during that time would have X number of percentage additional pay because of this day. So looking back, it's like there's a lot of things that, were connected to technically total rewards. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
di ba, parang
Correct, correct,
ma-
correct.
madadapa ka lang eh.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Parang
You know,
parang gets ko siya in a way na total rewards talaga can show in any part of HR. It just doesn't have to be from the compensation and benefits officer, no, kumbaga, because your
yeah.
entry to total rewards was different also, no.
And you actually get your ideas sometimes, when you're on the floor technically. Uh, we actually joke around. And I remember being in HR, my first year in HR from operations. And if they want to learn something, I have to go back to operations and actually
Mhm.
literally smoke with the guys to find out what they think about certain things. I'm not encouraging
Grabe.
people to smoke. I'm just saying that you be in a common area. You can be
Mhm,
in a
correct, correct.
pantry. You can just
Mhm,
have
mhm,
a
mhm,
casual conversation.
mhm,
Actually helps a lot. And sometimes the good ideas come from casual conversations.
mhm, mhm,
The idea of the multi-skill pay actually came from a casual coffee
mhm.
conversation that I had with one of
Correct.
the senior operators that I had in that port.
Mhm,
It
mhm,
was a coffee conversation. I mean, like,
mhm,
he was trying to practice his English,
mhm,
and he
mhm,
actually said, even though I know this equipment and it's the highest equipment already, I want to learn other things.
mhm, mhm,
And that sparked the idea, and it just comes from a conversation. I
mhm.
mean, it doesn't mean that your HR you have to come up with all the wonderful ideas.
Correct.
Sometimes the
Mhm.
ideas can actually come from everywhere. It can, aside from the thank goodness for the internet and streaming and all that, but really good conversations with people who actually work on the floor, um, could actually do that. So,
Because
that,
sometimes they know more, no, the
oh,
needs
of
of
course.
their employees than HR sometimes.
Yeah,
Mhm,
especially with the environment that I came from, no, the greatest ideas that I know, even with actual operations back then, would actually come from the people not with manicured hands. It's actually the ones who actually get their hands dirty. So,
mhm,
they were the ones who actually had great ideas. Of course, I'm not saying that you have to listen to all of their ideas, but
mhm.
at
Correct,
least
correct.
they have, they can give you snippets of a good idea, and a
Mhm,
good idea can come from 10, 15 other people. But at least if you like sew them together, you can come up with something. And if it's something that you think it's worth kicking around, it's something that you think could benefit the company. Especially, I'm bad at math. That's why I went to masscom, by the way. But you can always get away with, not like, you have to like math somehow. But then, of course, not everything's measured. A lot of my former GMs would ask from R with ROI.
correct.
I'm like, you're kidding, right? You want me to do an ROI in terms of certain programs? Okay, what about this? I can give you an idea of how many people actually leave because they want to have better opportunities.
Correct, correct.
I can't give you a number in terms of,
Correct, correct.
return of investment, literally, of how
Mhm,
much we're spending,
mhm,
but I know that because people were clamoring for this, that's
mhm,
why I'd like to do it. And I
mhm,
also, you know, uh, there are many sources in terms of a return of investment. Would be like, I'm not just listening to people who are leaving, I'm actually listening to the people who are staying as well. So I also do stay interviews. And
mhm,
sometimes, even with the stay interviews themselves, itself, I also get ideas about, like, they've been in the same position for so long with the current company that I'm with now. They've been in the same position for so long, and they'd like to have opportunities to actually learn the whole process of making the shoe.
mhm, mhm,
So, getting the ideas from them on how we can actually do it, and they actually give me ideas about what about cross training. Then maybe if we do the cross training, we can have this also. I'm like, okay, that's something we could talk about. So it's something in the works now. But it's not easy. It's not an overnight thing. You have to actually be careful with sometimes, people talk too much as well as so. Aside from
Got
HR
it.
talking too much, people talk too much also. So you have to have a caveat in terms of like, kuya, this is just a survey, informal. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Correct.
I'm not saying this will happen, but
The expectations are high when you do that.
oh yeah, definitely. Oh my goodness, especially when it comes to money, di ba? But at least you can give them some glimpse of hope that there is something that's actually being thought of. And that's
Now,
fine.
Miss Maria,
Yeah.
what is the major difference of compensation for the sake for viewers? No, what is the main difference of saying total rewards to compensation and benefits?
Because okay, when you say compensation and benefits, for me, compensation is just an additional pay because of performance. If your annual performance review, that's a
Mm-hmm.
compensation. And actually having a performance based increase is actually a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So but and aside from that, you have the usual like what you have HMO, pay time offs, and all these things. But when you say total rewards, I'm actually linking since I know that you're performing well and your smart goals are actually on point, and I'd like to discuss your learning and development opportunities as well. What are the other things that you think you'd like to learn here? Oh, I can see that your strength is actually here, but you're stuck here. How come? Would you want to look at other things here in the company? There's also the part of like it depends on generations, by the way. Like people like me, I'm a millennial. I'm a feeling millennial. So I'm a millennial. I'd like to have my work life balance, by the way. So it actually gives an opportunity to actually ask what kind of reward would you want? And we can customize rewards. So that's compensation and benefits for me, it's limited to that. It's something benefits for me is something that you would have to give to everyone or an opportunity to everybody. So yeah, so it's just like what I mentioned. You have a performance based increase is a benefit. You have medical, dental, HMO, life insurance is a benefit. You have a benefit
Those are
of
the
leaves
usual
as well.
benefits, correct?
It's the usual benefits. You have this whatever, solo
Got it.
parent leave and all that. But then, yeah, when you say you want to have a reward system, you have to be able to encompass not just and that's not for everybody as well. I'd like to reward people who actually give me great kaizen suggestions, the ones that I know that you've been here long, and a simple switching the table from point A to point B actually cuts down my lost time, and you actually just told me that idea, and if I tell you that, okay, can you run with it and study it, and I actually see an effort from you, and I can actually now pitch to the general manager that, okay, there's a good kaizen suggestion system that I'd like to try. We could like have a performance, group performance system.
All right.
It's a benefit, but at the same time it's a group. So you're
Mm-hmm.
actually rewarding certain groups to actually give specific outputs. And we're not just talking about performance-based outputs on a daily basis. We're actually talking about something that would be more what company-wide, something that would impact the whole company. That's something that we could actually probably lean towards as well. So even learning with and development, like what I mentioned a while ago, that I have certain people who'd like to who I see that are good performers, and not just with attendance. I'm also talking about quality of work, and we're not about quantity, because since the product that we have is customized, we're actually about quality more than quantity. So if the
Correct.
person or actually had so much recognition from clients, and if that person is part of the other 18 people who actually made the shoe, those
Mm-hmm.
18 people actually have opportunities to actually have points for additional leave
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Great. That's
So
a great initiative
benefit,
as well.
yeah, leave is a benefit, yes. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually encouraging people to actually have more quality output and to
Mhm.
actually earn points to be able to customize also
Mhm.
what rewards they want.
Mhm.
So that's what you're crafting now. So that in essence for me is the total rewards as well.
I see. So when we talk about total rewards, it's not just the pay, the benefits, or basically what's in the benefit listing that we get when we apply for a job. No, total rewards really encapsulates everything that you can acquire from the
Mm,
organization. And then kanina, Ms. Maria, you mentioned something about of course I understand that the needs of every employee is different to the needs of the other employee, but can we just probably give a bit of ano lang to our viewers today, to our viewers today, no, ano ba, like, for every generation, you mentioned something about generation. What are the
oh,
rewards na that matter most no, for every generation? Kasi now, ang daming generation sa isang organization. So, ang hirap for others to provide these rewards. So,
what
for boomers, ganyan, Gen X,
what we're
millennials.
doing now is actually like because I remember in my first company they had a catalog. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they had a catalog of like rewards for managers and above, and it was so limited to managers and above. And it was sad because for me, what about the people who actually worked on the floor? You
Correct.
don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't reward them. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened now is okay with my current company, you earn points. So if you know that your team, the whole team had this, but then you specifically as a person can actually earn points as well. We're making a catalog of oh my god of rewards. So if you have X number of points, you can actually exchange it for paid time off. And what
Oh.
I see when
Mm-hmm.
when we did the this is like again, I don't like formal surveys. Say formal surveys is like opening a can of worms. So
Correct,
one
correct.
sometimes, di ba? So I time my breaks with per generation,
Mm-hmm.
and I know where they hang out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I noticed I'm not I'm not generalizing in terms of age
Correct.
range,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Of
But
course,
what
yes,
I've
ma'am.
noticed, as simple as a 100 peso load, okay, to someone who is 40 years old and who actually is sending two kids to school, the 100 pesos will go a long way in terms of load. It's for their data.
Correct.
So sometimes, you know, it depends. So we have like what? We have we have load credits, we have
Mm-hmm.
paid time offs. Um we have like we're actually trying to partner with local businesses as well for a free haircut, free manicure, pedicure, because we have a lot of women as well. So in the area lang. So
Oh. Mm-hmm.
we're looking at that as well as an option and to help small businesses as well. But so far, what we have so far pa lang is really the load credits in terms of
Mm-hmm.
mobile credits.
Mm-hmm.
Fuel, I'm working on that part really on how many points because if fuel increases and all that, not
Correct.
like the
Fuel
load is
ngayon
always
talaga.
supposed to be
Oo,
100.
correct. Correct. Fuel,
So,
ito parang kahit anong generation ka eh.
di ba? It's
Kailangan.
so fast. Yeah, but then paid time off is always a hit. So the paid time off you should have X number. What is it like 10 points? So we're looking at that already. And then, like they wanted something like 10 points for every 10 points you have like half a day, something like that, and how to earn the points and all these things. So we
Mm-hmm.
we've come up with ideas in terms of how they can actually earn the points as well, and it's not just for them, it can be the whole group. So I'm also talking to the department managers to
Mm-hmm.
check if it's possible to have the shift on a fixed basis, that it's always this shift, it's always this shift, so that you can actually have a team effort as well. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, Maria, baka naman mag-leave sila sabay-sabay. I know. O di schedule na yun. Pero hindi pwede sabay-sabay mag-leave. Even with a reward system for them to use for their own Christmas party. Of course, it's
Mm-hmm.
monetary, but then in exchange for
Mm-hmm.
official receipts, why not? So
Correct, correct.
it depends really. It depends on what generation, what the group dynamic is, what the group
Mm-hmm.
culture
Correct,
is.
correct. There are other
It
things to
really
consider.
depends. Yeah, because I have manufacturing, I have manufacturing, uh, what, staff. So
Mm-hmm.
I have factory workers. So they're
Mm-hmm.
simple. I'm not saying they're simple-minded, but their joys are very simple. But if you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, come
Correct.
on,
Mm-hmm.
fuel. I'm still thinking how to do it. But but uh,
Correct.
but
Correct.
a paid time off is always a hit with everybody because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can never get too much paid time offs. I mean, if you really need
Correct.
to, diba?
Eh, parang
So
kahit
yeah.
anong generation kayo yung mga total rewards na you can give for, everyone will be happy about it. Yan. I've seen
Actually,
this
we're
in the,
also thinking pa nga parang, can I can I donate points? I was thinking like that eh. Not really.
yeah,
Because
you can share your leaves to others.
I can share my points to other people who I know would
Mm-hmm.
need it more than I do. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my commanders said, "Huh? Hoy, dai, practice giving ba? Diba? You have to share your blessings. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? I might actually come up with additional whatever benefit to those who actually give away their points that they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Diba? I
No,
can
Miss
treat them
Maria.
to a
Mhm.
spa day or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Miss Maria, I've seen that you've done a lot of these already, and I'm sure that a lot of these are trial and error. No? So I'm just wondering what are some of the challenges, no, most pressing challenges that you've faced, and in implementing this apart from management buy-in. For
Ah,
sure, it's a
yeah,
challenge.
aside from management buy-in. I've seen unfortunate events like connivance with people who actually keep the records. Oh my goodness.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
um because what? Okay, there was an incentive based system in terms of performance. Like if you hit X number of moves per hour consistently for the next 1 month, I think for the if you're a consistent 6 months or 3 months, I can't remember how the mechanics work. But it's like if you have 10 operators for the same machine and you're expecting them to all move 35 moves an hour, and you've worked with these people before. I don't know if it's a fortunate thing or an unfortunate thing.
mhm,
So I'm like, when I was transferred to HR and they were all like shooting like 32, 34, you've got to be kidding me. Like because you have to see the trend somehow.
mhm,
My
correct.
mistake was I only had 2, 3 months data.
Mhm,
And then I pitched it to the boss. The boss kicked it around and all that. They liked the idea. Did a simple concept about like if you hit 35, you have X amount. You know, it was bad. It was so bad. And then like,
mhm,
oh,
mhm.
even the people that that didn't perform as high suddenly perform so high. And
Mm,
then and then um and then we had to put it on hold. Because I said, okay, I need more time to study this. So I said, okay,
mhm,
I'm putting it on hold. So I had to call out data of all the people who are actually part of this program and look at their numbers and
mhm,
what are their classes. So I had to classify ABC operators because of their current moves per hour.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
And then now
If you don't
now
mind
you
sharing, Miss
can
Maria,
do
what
the
industry is
rewards.
this?
I was just the container port.
Okay, 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 okay.
So it was that. It was class
Mhm,
it was like,
mhm,
okay, so that means we have to customize a reward per class.
mhm.
Come on, not everybody can earn like 5,000 pesos in a month.
Correct.
I
Mhm.
had like 10 operators and who were hitting like high 30s and all that. And I have to pay 5,000 pesos a month.
Grabe, grabe,
Grabe.
grabe.
It was a rookie mistake. I was new.
Mhm,
But then
mhm.
I knew how would make these people tick,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
I've been there.
Mhm, mhm. I just can relate to that, no, because when I used to be in the hospitality industry, Miss Maria, and there was this time where we would give additional benefit to employees who would get their names on TripAdvisor. So do you know TripAdvisor?
Yeah,
The place where you give ratings, diba? And
yes, yes.
sometimes when you're in the hotel, you get the name of your server, and then you write
Yeah.
their name on TripAdvisor. So what we do is when your name pops on TripAdvisor and they give a 5 rating, you get something. Nako, Miss Maria, lahat ng server, binigay lahat ng pangalan nila sa mga empleyado. Please po,
Well,
just give your name to ganito. Ayan tuloy. So, parang with your
o
experience.
Vans, 'di
Di
ba?
ba ko na
Kaya
so yes,
siguro
grabe.
I
Got it.
mean,
Oo.
it's understandable na not
Mhm.
everyone can have an automated system. But
Mhm. Mhm.
siguro just to make sure that have a check and balance, you
Mhm.
know, like aside from you looking at the data or getting the data, it should be something that you know is verifiable through
Mhm.
another department.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's hard. You really have to work well with operations or whatever department you're working with in
Mhm.
terms of the rewards and how you can actually make it what better in terms of not really automation per se, but at least you know that the person doing the monitoring will not get any benefit out of it.
Correct. Mhm.
You know, hindi pa uso GCash nun eh. Pero
Mhm.
I can just imagine now on how it is. But
Oo.
'di ba? It's sad. That's why I think it's better that rewards are not as much as possible
Not tangible.
are not are not money based.
Mhm. Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's siguro it's something that probably we can give as a reward back to the families. You know, like you can have a
Mhm.
grocery package
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
something,
Mhm. Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct.
Something that you know that they could bring back to families and not
Mhm.
bring to somewhere. So yeah,
Correct.
so
Correct.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be able to come up with but and you don't have to have a lot of ideas at once.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, you just have to have one idea. Just you really have to like um you can't do a quick and dirty thing when it comes to total
Mhm. Mhm.
rewards really, and HR can't do it alone.
Mhm.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, we don't know operations that deep to be able to come up with something. It
Correct.
really
Correct.
has to be communication with other
Mhm.
departments,
Mhm.
with you know, with the rank and file, with management and all that. Um, and my line every time with management would be like to be able to achieve industrial peace. That's my line all the time. It's really like and they start to laugh. And they're like,
Since
no,
since
really,
when
to
you're in
achieve
HR, hindi
industrial
kayo
peace.
makakapagpasok ng pera. So, industrial peace. Okay, I think I'm
Industrial
gonna
peace
use
na
that
lang
also
po
in the future.
ang goal namin, 'di ba? To be able to
Ayan.
achieve industrial kasi cost center po lagi yung HR, puro kami gastos. But
Totoo.
uh, but uh, but um it's not it's not the solution to everything. That's
Mhm.
what I like to remind people really. Having a good reward system will not stop people from going. It
Mhm.
would just make them, yes, probably dwell on like staying longer and all that.
Mm.
But
Mm.
we all know that um what
You can only
our
do so much.
competition, yeah, we can only do so much, especially that overseas, especially from my current industry now, we're losing people to overseas employment. And we know that it's something that we can't control.
Correct.
That's why like even KPIs for HR for me has changed. I mean, it's not about turnover and attrition anymore. It's
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
controllable and uncontrollable,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and there's only so much you can do.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can
Now
do
that
for
we're
total
talking about
reward.
yan, this Miss Maria, no, we're talking about retention na and all of that. So apart from retention, no, how can we, alam ko, ayaw natin tinatanong to when we propose something to the management. Miss Maria, what is the ROI? No? How do we measure the ROI of our program?
It's like what I mentioned a while ago. It's actually retention of employees.
Oh, yeah, correct, correct. Mhm.
And I'd like to think that it's our employees who actually are the brand ambassadors of the company.
Mhm,
Because
yeah.
if as simple as having a hashtag company name, thank you so much, is
Mhm.
enough for me.
Employer
And
brand. Mhm.
yeah, because they're the ones who actually market the company. There are times we don't actually advertise as much But
Mm-hmm.
when people know we have a vacancy, they are the ones who refer. And I don't even have a referral system. I don't. And yet they refer.
Yes, yes.
For
Mm-hmm.
me, that in itself is my return because I'm actually
ROI.
having
Correct.
my own employees who actually
Mm-hmm.
market the company. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it's not a number per se, but
Mm-hmm.
I know in December I'll be awarding 15-year tenured employees. I have
Wow.
around 20 or 30 10 years, and I have
Mm-hmm.
115 5-year employees.
Grabe. That says
So
a lot, no? Mm-hmm.
that says a lot. That so far, well, thank goodness for the past 5 years I have 115.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, it's a company that transferred from one location to another, and we still have that many employees. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for me, that in itself is my return of investment
Correct.
in terms
Mm-hmm.
of
So,
the rewards that
correct.
we've had.
Correct. So to our viewers out there, no word of employer branding, all of these are IOI already. No, the expense we use on hiring, no, so that alone is the ROI that we can get from our total rewards program. Now, Miss Maria, naman, let's go to our viewers and who are applying, no, tapos makikita nila na because of course I'm not sure with other generations, but with my generation, what we do, we already start, no, we do we do search our pay on the pay market. So what should we do
Ah,
if as applicants we don't find ourselves within the market? Ganyan, the pay is not within the market. So what should we do? Turn down na lang bag?
no, you look at ano it. But okay, this is hard. Of course, base important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're talking about people who'd like to jump out and look into other companies, right? As long as you
Mm-hmm.
don't, as long as you don't what compromise, naman din how much
Mm-hmm.
you're worth. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
then you have to look at that's the danger about looking at salary surveys, and you think, oh my god, I'm underpaid. But there's a lot
Correct.
of factors. Like, what industry is that? Because that's the problem with salary
Mm-hmm.
surveys. You can only
Correct,
see
correct,
the
correct.
position, and how much. But it doesn't really tell you
Mm-hmm.
what's the industry. How many
Mm-hmm.
years experience is the person already? There's so
Mm-hmm.
many things. And it's not all about pay. It's really about
Mm-hmm.
growth. Okay, let me tell you this. Okay. This is something probably that will surprise a lot of people. You in your introduction, you already mentioned it. I've been with operations for 7 years, right? From a management trainee, I was a management trainee for 2 years. Guess what happened during the other 5? You think I was promoted? I was not. I was still a supervisor for 5 years. And yet, for those 7 years, I was able to go to different departments and different sections within operations. I learned a lot. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably for me what my advice would be is no, don't just look about pay. Look at what can you learn, what can you pick up,
Mm-hmm.
what can you
Mm-hmm.
do
Correct.
during the time that okay, you might be in the same position, what you're applying for is the same position, but you look at
Mm-hmm.
what's the opportunity that I have within that company that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a new industry? Am I gonna learn something new? Definitely. Okay, but don't let pay stop you from actually like having a lateral transfer anywhere. I've been
Mm-hmm.
lateral transferred. Ika nga ng mga colleagues ko nun. You're like a ball being passed around. I don't mind. No, I don't mind
You can
because I was
absorb as
able
many
to
things as you can. Mm-hmm.
exactly, and I think that's what helped me transferring from operations to HR because I knew operations that well to be able to know not just the cycle of the business, but I also know the nitty-gritty, and I know the things that I know that they need to improve. And like what my former general manager would say when I was a management trainee, always think about everything that you will learn in life, you will use it someday. And I actually used a lot of it. And it
Correct.
you If you only look at pay, you'll get stuck at, you always have to look at higher pay, higher pay, higher pay. But you will never be satisfied, because when you have a higher pay, of course, your lifestyle will change. December, you
Yes.
have to maintain. That was my mistake too, ha? Because of my foreign assignments,
Mm-hmm.
not to brag, but I was being paid so well. But then
Mm-hmm.
I was so young and ignorant. I'm thinking like, God, this is like gonna last forever. Nothing's forever. So
Mm-hmm.
you really just have to maintain a certain level of lifestyle that you know that you could actually still save.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could actually pick up more learning than you've ever had before. And take the leap. If it's something that you think, I wala akong experience dyan. But if they got you, they must have seen something.
Mm-hmm.
'Di ba? Kung kinuha ka nila, why not? Of course, you have to put some effort and not fake it till you make it. Huwag naman laging gano'n, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You really have to use the internet. You have to you have resources now. And I always I keep saying this to the younger generation. You guys are so lucky with the internet. Google ka lang, madali na.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
And and having CHRC as resources and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and having you have what you have so many channels now on how to meet new people, and actually to be able to gain more, not just followers, but actually you have more teachers now. Diba? You
Mm-hmm.
have the internet, make use of it, and take the leap.
Mm-hmm.
Kaya mo yan. You have to have belief din sa sarili mo.
Correct. Correct. So to our viewers now, no, I just like I really like what you answered, no. Parang ang lalim niya pero talaga growth na nga naman talaga, no. Kumbaga it's
Growth
not just
naman.
yeah, growth talaga. So
Mm.
what the company can offer as well. And Miss Marie, I've been hearing this a lot as well. Yung culture, no. Parang
Ah,
culture is parang they're branding culture as total rewards as well, no. So how do you think how important is culture also in in branding organization and all of that.
natatawa ako kasi when you say culture to me, I've been to ha- how can I coin this well? I've been to a Filipino Spanish. I've had foreign GMs. I've been with an Australian company as well for a short time.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese was my
Mm-hmm.
last one in Clark. Then I'm now with Dutch. When you say culture is part of a what? Is part of
The total
branding?
rewards, branding, yeah, and
Branding
branding
or
as
total reward? Okay, total rewards and branding. Um, I would agree that it is part of branding.
well. Mm-hmm.
Now it depends on the culture on how they would like to reward. Really, I know
Mm-hmm.
BPOs have great rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Sobra, we can't compete. you know, it's hard to
Yeah.
compete. Really. And that's their culture, because that really is the culture of the industry as a whole, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
So but then you have to also think about, aside from what rewards in terms of what your branding is. I think what I realized as HR is, yes, so many companies can do this and that, but is it sustainable? So
Mm-hmm.
you also have to think about, like, um from an applicant's perspective. From
Mm-hmm.
an applicant's perspective, is it something that would really be useful to me? But
Correct.
if you think
Correct.
about it, a gym membership, but I live far, so do you think I'd actually have time to actually do this?
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about it. Is
Mm-hmm.
the travel going to be what um what bearable, high
Mm-hmm.
pay nga, but if it's going to be too far,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if the job would entail some travel, can you really travel?
Mm-hmm.
That's like some actually see that's a benefit, that you actually
Mm-hmm.
have some travel, local travel required. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just would think it's a benefit. It could probably be as a benefit. It really depends on how you market it.
Mm-hmm.
If you pair it with a per dime, then why not?
Mhm, mhm,
Then that becomes a reward, 'di ba? Somehow, in a way.
mhm,
But culture in terms of uh reward depends really. It really depends on not just the culture of the company in terms of what is the origin country, so to speak, but
mhm.
it's really
Correct.
more of the industry as well. I
Mhm,
think I'm not saying you follow what the industry tells you. Sorry.
mhm,
You don't have to follow what the industry tells you, but you also
mhm.
have to follow what the culture is of the company.
Correct.
What
Mhm,
culture do you want?
mhm,
Because you can have a lot of benefits, but then if you like what we're doing now, is we're actually having the lean system as well. So our general
Sorry, what was
manager would
sorry,
like
it's
to
me. What system? Sorry.
lean,
Lean system.
lean.
Okay, okay. Mhm,
Yeah. So he'd like to incorporate the lean system in terms of a reward system as well. That's why
mhm,
we have the Kaizen suggestion system and all that.
mhm,
So
mhm,
if we want continuous improvement,
mhm,
do you want to be a company who just asks for continuous improvement
mhm,
lang, playing
mhm,
leave with people and reward them one time? Congratulations, thank you for saving the
mhm,
company X
mhm,
number of pesos. Or you
mhm,
really want to have it continuous in terms of a point system. So it
mhm,
depends on what culture. This
mhm.
is the same conversation I had with my general manager a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
Depends on if it can you sustain it. You know,
Correct.
it's that. You know,
Mhm, correct.
we can reward as much, but can we afford it? It's just like
Mhm,
a salary. Oo nga, yan na ang market ng IT ngayon. Kaya mo ba?
mhm, mhm.
Hindi.
Now it's very.
CEO yan,
Let's go
lakas
just a bit
magtrabaho.
lang, a bit technical lang. I'm just wondering. I haven't attended CCBP kaya hindi din ako sure no. Pero when you impose a benefit to a certain employee, kailangan ba lahat? Should it be enjoyed by all ganyan or pwede bang for specific ano lang people?
You can tier it as long as once you give it kasi even if it's a practice, you can't take it away anymore. So you really have to be careful. So if it's on a per level basis, you can.
Mhm.
Let's say you want to have if you want to enhance it better. So
Mhm.
for example, you have a yeah, it's best to have a blanket, definitely.
Mhm.
An example would be everyone would have a hospitalization benefit as an example.
Mhm.
And then you want to be able to somehow have an HMO for supervisors and above. Then you do that. Don't do it in rank and file first. Basta make sure that whatever you give them, you have to make sure that you can't take it away again.
I see, I see, I see. So to our
Ganun
viewers
siya.
watching, no, for benefits, you can give it per level system or for a specific number of employees. But again, once you give it, you cannot take it back anymore. So
Yes,
kung
sure.
maraming nag-succeed dyan sa Total Rewards program mo, kailangan mabigyan silang lahat. Correct, no? And
Kaya nga you have to
mhm,
make it somehow like in a way. Paano ba 'to? But like what I mentioned, 'di ba? Like what you mentioned a while ago. There's a difference between compensation and benefits and total rewards. You have to somehow separate it. But then make
mhm,
it
mhm.
what? It interlaces in one way or another. But that definitely having a I call it blanket. Like if you have a blanket benefit for everybody, yung pagdating sa reward system mo, of course, make sure it's attainable. But then you also have to make sure na kapag na-attain naman nila, kaya mo na naman din i-sustain. Because kasi it's a conditional system eh. Like what we did with the what plus minus system with the 5S for example. Um Everyone has X number of points. If we see every month you have X number of what papers that are not stacked up properly and not in proper color, minus 1 point. At the end of the year, that's when you give the reward. At least it's not something that you give every month. And it's
I
not
see, I see.
something that,
Mhm,
'di ba,
mhm.
that you have to technically qualify for. But it should not it should not paano ba to? Discriminate in any way. which is a difference naman din with the benefit you'd like to give. If it's a hospitalization or HMO or anything, then you can have it on a tier level. But when it comes to rewards, mahirap talaga magkaroon ng, oh, 'pag managers ganito ang reward. Wag naman. Team effort 'yan. Better gawin mong team effort.
Correct. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Maria. Now, before we end, no, ito na. Before we end, what is your? We've talked about so much. Now, what is your advice? I know it's difficult. This sort of this path. Now, what is your advice to HR professionals eyeing a role in total rewards?
You're eyeing a role in total rewards. So that means you're currently in HR,
Yes,
right?
currently in HR. Say, for example, you're in
Currently
recruitment.
in
Ganyan.
HR,
Now
you're
you're
in
gonna go to
recruitment.
comp ben or total rewards na talaga.
Well, you can't
Your
have all the
advice
answers at one time. Hindi.
if you're in
Ah,
Philippines, dito na lang dyan.
sigurado ka ba gusto mo lumipat ng total rewards? Yun ang sasabihin ko sa inyo. Hindi, joke lang.
That's the
But,
advice.
that's my advice. Hindi. Paano ba 'to? If you want to venture into total rewards, of course, parang ano ba, it would take it would take a lot of communication kasi. And yun eh, you have to accept that you can't come up with all the ideas by yourself. You really have to have some, well, of course, you 'di ba? You can build your portfolio first, if that's something, if it makes sense. Don't leave your current company. Papatayin ako ng CHRC. Don't leave your current company. You get the experience first, and then you can try to implement a certain simple reward system. And then if you can see the taste of it, that you think, okay, then get certifications and all that. It really helps. It really does. Um, you get to talk to many different people. You have different resources, and then you can come up with a simple reward system. It can be within your own team. It can be within your own department. Get a feel of it first. But then, in 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 any case, okay, if you want to venture into total rewards, it really has to be a collaboration between HR and operations, or the other departments gonna affect it. And don't feel bad if your first or a couple of your ideas doesn't get get kicked around by other
Because that's
managers.
normal.
That's fine. It's normal. Ika ko nga, it's a heartbreaking job. But then, that's when your people skills come in. That's when your 'di ba, that's when your people skills, in terms of consulting other people and all that. What do you think, how do you think I can still improve this and all that? It's a continuous improvement thing. You can't get it one at one time. It would take quite some time for actually to get into total reward. Start with compensation and benefits, get with the basics first, learn how your operations actually work. Yan, definitely.
Huwag
Ask,
tayong
and don't be,
copy-paste kasi it
no,
might
you
not
really
work with our organization.
don't. And my ano ba, this is what I always tell my staff, and to anybody who'd like to know about other departments, which is why I got to HR. I asked the stupid questions, and don't be afraid to ask the stupid questions, because sometimes the best ideas come from stupid questions. Di ba? Really, because that's how you can actually, um sometimes the people who are in the same system, or are in the same environment, already have familiarity breeds contempt. They think everything's perfect, everything's fine, until you come along and you ask the stupid question, and then they
Correct.
might have a very good aha moment. Oo nga, no, ba't di nga natin ginagawa yun?
Mhm.
Di ba? Don't be afraid. Go to operate, as long as, sana lang, no, that other departments are actually open to you kind of asking if you could spend the day there and actually see how things go in a day. Actually, you can come up with ideas. You can actually appreciate, ay, ganyan pala kahirap ang accounting. Hindi na pala
Mhm.
nagka-calculate ng numbers, no? You
Correct,
have to check
correct.
a lot in terms of
Mhm.
check and
Mhm.
bang, ganyan, ganyan, check mo yung ganito.
Mhm.
Ah,
Mhm.
ganyan ba? Parang, at least you will get
Mhm.
more ideas. So the more that you expose yourself outside of HR, the more ideas you will have for total rewards. I think that's my
Correct.
bottom line.
Correct.
So
Correct.
don't just wag niyo kulong sarili niyo HR, be visible. Although
Correct.
unfortunately when people see you on the floor, they'll think ano na naman ginawang kasalanan galing
Nag-audit
ba
na
dito
naman
yung
'to.
HR? Nag-o-audit na naman 'to. Tumitingin na
Nag-aayos na sila
naman
ng
naman naman
uniform
ito.
and all.
'Di ba? Unfortunately, 'di ba, they can't see you smile because of the mask. But then,
Mm.
at least give the heads up to the department manager. Ma'am, can I just go around and I just want to look around?
And sometimes best foot forward din sila kapag may HR.
Oh, 'di ba, ang linis, 'di ba? Yung
Oo.
gano'n. No, no, really. You
Mhm.
really just have to be open about it. And, you
Mhm.
know, um, you're there not to audit. You're just there to
Mm.
observe. You like to see how
Mhm.
things go, na ganyan pala kahirap 'yan,
Correct.
'di
Mhm.
ba? And the best people to talk to are the ones who are tenured.
Mhm.
'Di ba? Yun eh. Stay interviews are always good. What made them stay? So, you hear good answers. How can you make it better for them?
Mhm.
And that's
Correct.
always
Correct.
the best reward is to make them stay.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Maria. There you have it. No, thank you, Miss Maria, for sharing your time amidst your very, very busy schedule. And of course, thank you for sharing your expertise and knowledge in total rewards. Actually, I myself learned so much. Baka next week talagang
I
mag-total rewards na ako. Biro lang.
I hope it made sense, ano? Kasi minsan sabog din ang utak ko eh.
Correct, correct. No, actually, I
Okay.
learned a lot, Miss Maria. Parang before kasi when we hear total rewards and compensation and benefits, it's just HR, no? Just focus on the four corners of your office in HR and
Ay,
you'll suddenly make a rewards
system.
program to your employees. But yeah, exposing yourself talaga is really, really, really the thing. Again, thank you po, Miss Maria. Again, thank you everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Clark HR on the Go. HR on the Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and International HR Institute, airing live on the CHRC Facebook page every month. So if you are interested in becoming a CHRC member, join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org/join. Again, thank you, Miss Maria, for that wonderful conversation. Before we end, do you have any final words or anything to promote?
Uh, get certified. That's actually no, really. Come on.
Mhm.
Most of the time we learn on the go. Diba? HR on the
Yes,
go.
yes, that's why it's HR
Diba?
on the go. Yeah.
No, really. Because you learn I learned a lot about HR just because I actually just did it. And it's
Mhm.
amazing how when you get to attend seminars, certifications and all that. And then you actually can put a name to something that you've actually been
Yes,
doing for
you
the
realize that
past number of
there's a term
years.
for it.
May ganun pala. Yun pala tawag
Correct,
dun.
correct,
Ang sarap ng
correct.
feeling. So,
Mhm.
siguro my final say is don't forget, yes, we are taking care of people, but please also take care of yourself. 'Di ba?
No, right.
You have to put yourself first. As
Mhm.
HR, it's been very challenging, not just because of the pandemic, but we always have to catch up with the changing times. So
Mhm.
always take care of yourself. Always have time for yourself. And I'm not just talking about having R&R, but also,
Mhm.
'di ba, if you're looking at training and development for other people and rewards for other people, reward mo rin naman sana sarili mo. Don't forget
Correct.
yourself. 'Di ba?
Mhm.
Yun lang. Thank you.
All right. Thank you with that. Said. Thank you so much, Miss Maria. To our viewers, thank you for tuning in this episode of HR on the Go, Season 2, Episode 6. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Miss Maria, and to our viewers. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
The Philippines is being called Asia's rising tiger. But what exactly does this mean? Posting a GDP growth of 6.7% in 2017, the country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, expanding at a rate unseen in the last 5 decades. The good news is, it's just getting started. The better news is that we have designed a brand new city to be the nucleus of this economic renaissance. Less than 1 hour from the capital, Manila, straddled by hills and blessed with tropical climate all year long. We are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans, For its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district. And New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and endless investment opportunities. This is a city prepared to attract talent so that the country's best and brightest will come here to work and choose to call this place home. Because this is a city that knows how to play, where you can unwind at your own speed, where safety is paramount, and people always come first. This is a city where history and culture thrive, where modern conveniences meet timeless traditions, and progress is driven by passion. This is a city with limitless ambition that may someday find itself among the great cities of the world, built for business so that time is always well spent, and built for people so that life is always well lived. This is Clark.